We've got breakout players to watch. They're back again. Garrett and Trey have gone to the film room to find one player each. And Garrett, we go west to Big Ten country for your breakout player.
Yeah, up to the far northwest, folks. We're heading to the Big Ten. Yeah, no, I'm picking Jordan James, my breakout, Oregon's running back, and it's pretty easy to see why. He did have some playing time last year, not a whole lot of playing time. He had 107 carries, so it's certainly nothing to sniff at. But it certainly isn't a full tailback workload, right? You got to get a lot more carries to be kind of the lead starter back. But on those 107 carries, he averaged 7.1 per carry and did have 11 touchdowns. So the dude found a way to make his touches count. He's basically going to be the Bucky Irving replacement, right? He's going to be the guy to come in, show up, and be the new Bucky Irving and kind of run the show up there. And they have up at Oregon a powerful offense that is extremely explosive, but also balanced, right? They don't like to, kind of just lean one way or the other. They take what the defense gives them. They're committed to the run. And so he's going to have a lot of carries in this offense this year, and he's going to do just fine with that. I think he's actually probably a little bit better suited to be that every down back than Bucky Irving was. Obviously, Bucky Irving extremely successful with Oregon, but look, Jordan James, I think, is the kind of back that you can just hand the rock to 20 to 30 times a game and say no problem, right? He's the kind of guy you can just give those high levels of carries. He's strong. He makes guys miss. He doesn't really take hard contact very often. He's good at kind of, shifting around, falling with a guy and getting those extra couple of yards. He's just dangerous. He's good at making something out of nothing. You turn on the highlight reel and you can see, oh, that play looks a little bit stuffed. Then he finds a hole that you didn't see there and kind of squirts his way through for another 5 or 6 yards or something like that. He's really, really good at what he does. And so, look, he maybe doesn't technically count as a breakout, right? If you're a big college football fan, if you watch their big games, you know who Jordan James is. You saw him in action. But with that being said, this will be his year to become not just kind of if you're in the top tier of the college football fans, you're going to know him, but he will now become, I think, a household name as Oregon competes at the highest level of college football, right? A lot of times it was Oregon playing out there on the West Coast. We didn't see all their games, right? It wasn't always nationally televised. You're going to see him against the top of the top in the Big Ten. I think an early matchup against Ohio State as well that year. So I'm excited to see what happens with this. I'm excited to see if he can kind of take that mantle and become that lead back. And he's going to be crucial for the Ducks, especially because Dylan Gabriel coming in is going to need a little bit of a landing track there, a little bit of somewhere to land and get that new system under his belt. He's plenty good, plenty talented to do so, but he's going to need a little bit of time. And I think Jordan James can give him that bit of time by being an effective running back to kind of get into the system, get comfortable, and get this offense rolling.
How
Yeah.
how balanced do you think Oregon's offense is going to be schematically this year? I mean, they're going to be playing different defenses entirely. Uh, do you think they have to lean more on the run to beat some of these Big Ten teams?
I don't necessarily think they're going to have to lean on the run to beat them, but they're going to need to in some of those harsher environments late in the season, right? Like it's not going to be the same thing as just playing a game up there where it's cold, but it's not quite that level of cold as it gets in the Midwest, right? It's going to be a little bit of a shock for them, but I do think that they're going to be able to stay balanced. And I think it's not so much about what the other teams present. I think it's about Oregon, right? I think what they do on offense is not based on, hey, this defense says that they're good at running the foot or stopping the run, so we're just going to pass this game. They do a good job of finding things, but they're so balanced and so talented that they can kind of get what they want, right? There's a lot of players, on the outside. I'm thinking, they got Evan Stewart in from the transfer. They get a bunch of receivers coming back, and they're plenty talented. Just kind of across the board. And the thing that I think a lot of people overlook is just how good that offensive line is. That offensive line, is extremely talented. The way that they're coached up there, they play just a different style of football to what a lot of the Pac-12 was playing. They're real strong, real physical. That's why it worked so well last year. And I think it's going to pay some dividends this year when you see that, yeah, they're going to be able to, kind of play some head up, just helmet on helmet, put a hat on a hat type of football. With some of these bigger, more kind of, I guess, beefy Big Ten teams. I think the difference there is going to be the speed. I think the speed's going to be able to get around some of those teams, and they're going to be able to stretch them a little bit more vertically But I mean, kind of like what I was saying, Jordan James, he's not necessarily a bruiser back, but Jordan James is the kind of guy who you don't bring down with an arm tackle. You don't just trip him up by his shoelaces, right? He's a guy that, if you bring one guy in the hole, he's going to find a way to find those extra couple of yards. And I don't care if it's, Pac-12 football or if it's Big Ten football. That's a trait that backs just have, right? They don't just get that because they're playing, weaker competition or something. Backs have that or they don't. And Jordan James definitely has that.
I like the pick, man. I think he could be a really, really, really dark horse Heisman contender because they're going to need him to win some of those grinded out Big Ten games. He's going to have the opportunity to showcase that.
Tough schedule for the Ducks as well. I mean, they get Oregon State early, but then they play both Ohio State and Michigan. They get Wisconsin at Camp Randall late in November, and then, by the way, they finish off against Washington as well before the Big Ten championship game. So certainly no favors as the Oregon Ducks head into the Big Ten.
Gracious, how about that?